Hello gorgeous plant people, welcome back to Rooting Mindfully. My name is Yana and today we're going to do a Propagate video, so stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So I think the first plant that I'm going to start propagating is my syngonium albo, and I'm thinking I'm going to chop it about here. Yeah, I think that would be good, because I'd rather this plant stay nice and bushy than to be so tall and, you know, lanky. So I think I'm going to chop it about here, and then once the plant grows roots, I'm going to just stick it back in the bottom, because you see it's a little, you know, sparse there, or there's a lot of gap. So I think that's what we're going to go for. So I'm going to take my handy scissors and we're going to do the first chop. How are you guys doing today? You guys, you know, chilling, or you going out doing errands? So when you do your propagations, you just want to make sure that you snip below the node. That way you can get roots here. And then what I like to do is just to kind of like place it there just for a visual reference of how it would look, you know, once it's potted back in the pot. But you would just simply put these in your mason jar and fill it with water. And then you wait for them to grow roots. So I'm going to do another cutting here. And let's see, we'll do another one here. And you want to make sure that your cuttings have at least 2 leaves on them, or 1 or 2 leaves on them, just so that way they're able to, you know, grow out. And I think this will be my last cutting. And see, cut below the node. You could even use these to start a new plant if you had enough cuttings. You see that? That could start a whole new plant. But this is what the end result looks like. Doesn't look too bad actually. And I'll get some close-ups, that way you guys can see what they look like at, you know, in the end. Alright, so this is what this plant looks like after it's trimmed. It's nice and bushy. I think that looks a lot better. And then here are the cuttings that I'm gonna pot right back in the bottom here, so that way that can fill out. But that's what it looks like. And syngoniums are really easy to propagate, and they grow really fast, so you'll have a big bush in no time once you start propagating these plants. Alright, so the next plant that I'm going to propagate is my Philodendron melanochrysum verrucosum. This is the last leaf that it's put out. It's really pretty. And then it's got this bud here that's currently trying to open. So this is what the entire plant looks like. Let me try to get you guys a good view of it. And you can see it's definitely grown off the moss pole. Here's where the moss pole ends. So I think I'm going to take at least, let's see, 1, 2, I might take 3 cuttings off of this one and fill it back at the bottom, just so I can have a nice fuller plant. And because there's a lot of spacing between the nodes, that's like that much spacing between the nodes, it'll be easy to go ahead and propagate this one. So let's start. So I'm gonna go just right in between the nodes. So with this one, it wasn't getting a lot of light, so one node is here and then the other one's here, so I have a lot of space to cut. And we're just gonna go right in the middle. And that would be 1. And then I'm gonna take another one. I'm gonna cut here. You can see there's where the roots will grow. And then we'll take one more here. And there you go. And so this is what my plant will look, this is what the plant looks like after you propagate it. Still looks really nice. And I'm probably gonna stick some of the leaves on this side here and here where there's a lot of, see where there's a lot of more of the baby size leaves. So I probably will stick the leaves here. Let me give you a visual. You see how that'll look when you stick them back in the pot? That makes it look like a much more mature and full plant. See that? That's what I'm going for. So that's that plant. And then this one actually needs to be watered, so we'll water this one. And actually you can start to see that the roots, I can see that the roots are starting to come out of the bottom of this one. So I have to check if I have an 8-inch pot, because this is a 6-inch pot. So if I have an 8-inch pot, I'll also bump this plant up. So that's the Philodendron varicosum, melanochrysum, and here are the cuttings. Alright, so the next one we're going to cut is Jack, and he's really tall. Sorry if you can't see it on screen, but I'm just going to do the same thing that I did with the others and just cut between the nodes just so we can get him to come down because he's probably about 7 feet, because the bamboo stick that I have in here is 6 feet and that stops here, right here. So he's about 7 or 8 feet. So I'm just gonna start cutting. And there's one cutting. And let's see. And you can see that he was reaching for the light. As you can see that some of his leaves were are growing downwards. It's just because they were looking for more light because he was getting so tall. And let's see, we're gonna cut here. So I don't really have any plans for this weekend. Do you guys have any plans? I'm just basically gonna be trimming and, you know, getting my plants to look better. Cause I'm not really like a helicopter plant mom, but I haven't been taking care of them as much as I used to. And you know, that's just like being at home, going back to work, things like that. Several different reasons why I haven't really been on top of my plants. As well as I just like to give them room to breathe. Okay, so you see this like area root has grown into the nook and cranny of this one. So I'm trying to like pull it out without damaging it. But it's like really in there. Oop. So much for not damaging it. And I think I'm just gonna keep cutting this till I get to a height that I like. Not really sure the look that I'm going for on this one. Sometimes I just cut until, sometimes when I do cut my plants, I have like a vision of what I want the plant to look like, and other times I'm just trimming. It depends on how wild and crazy they look. And also to note that these syngoniums do have some kind of a sap that they secrete, so you might want to use gloves. I'm not using gloves, but you know. And let's see, I might end up just trimming him back all the way down, and then I might have to move him because I don't think his lower leaves are getting as much light where he is. So I might end up also moving him to another location. But he's really top heavy, so I'm just going to keep cutting until he's not so top heavy. I think that's a good idea. Oops. And I'm going to bring you guys down. Alright, so you can see that we cut him back substantially, and this is what we have going on. And he also has another stem on this side that I need to, you know, Velcro up. But I might cut him just a couple more and see how that looks. Maybe I'll just cut him until I meet where this second stem comes up. So I'll cut here. Also, my mom and I wanted to know if you guys would be interested in us doing some kind of Q&A. Either you guys ask, you know, personal questions to get to know us, or, you know, planty questions. It's up to you guys, but, you know, just a little low-key, relaxing Q&A video if you guys are interested. I think that would be fun. So I think that's where I'm going to leave this one. So you can see that's what's left on the plant. This is basically all the leaves that I had on the plant when it was sent to me. You can see they're all smaller leaves. And then I have a ton of cuttings. Let me grab them for you. I'm going to rinse off this sap as well. But you can see this, I have a lot of cuttings. It's a ton. That's how tall he was. And you can see how the leaves are much bigger. See, much bigger than where they were. But these are all the cuttings from that plant. So I'm just gonna rinse off the sap and then stick these in water. But if you wanted just to see how it would be quite the bushy plant, I could even start a new plant with just the big leaves if I wanted to do that as well. So that would be another option, would be to kind of start the plant over. This plant definitely doesn't look as glorious as it did. But see where I took all those cuttings? That would look really nice. Could you see how this is really bare here? Like there is nothing here. So that would look really nice filled in. But you can see this would make a nice new plant as well. So I'm going to think about this one. Do I want to just keep these, or do I want to put it back in here? But if I put it back in there, that would be a really huge bushy plant. So might just do that. Alright, so I think another plant that I want to propagate a little bit is my pedatum. And let me just show you guys what this one looks like. This one looks pretty good. It is starting to grow off the moss pole, and I do have a gap here that I want to fill. So I'm just going to chop this plant a little bit. And I'm not going to do anything too major, just probably a couple nodes. So let's get started with this one. I also wanted to show this plant because I don't really show this plant too often, but I just wanted to clean it up a bit. Alright, so I'm just going to cut here. I think we'll cut here. This one is starting to grow into the moss pole, so you do have to be careful with the aerial roots. But see, this is a more mature leaf, and the nodes are growing down because the plant needs more light, so that's another reason why I want to cut it back a little bit. And then I think we'll take a cutting here. Hope you guys can see this. See another more mature leaf, but again, because it's not getting the right light, it's kind of grown really wonky. And I might take one more cutting from this plant down here. I think that might be it. But see how when you allow your plants to climb, they do get more mature lobes, kind of look like reindeer antlers, and they have more fenestrations or more pronounced veining. I can show you what some of the bottom leaves look like. See how the more juvenile leaves look like this? And you don't really have too much pronunciation in the lobes or veining. And then when they get more mature, that's when you get leaves like that. So that's why I do like to let some of my plants climb, just so I can get more mature leaves. But I'll get you guys a view of what this looks like now that I chopped it a little bit. You can see that looks a lot better. And there's actually more than one plant in this pot here. When I took propagations before on this plant, so this is one plant, and that's the older one. And then there's actually a plant on this side right here. And when you do propagate your plants, they will go ahead and put off offshoots. And that's where this leaf comes from. It's an offshoot. You can see that. See? So that's another reason why people propagate, is to get much fuller plants. Not only can you put plants back in the pot, but you can also get offshoots as well. See, that's where this is coming from. But it makes your plant just look so much fuller. I really love this leaf. I really need to show this plant more often on my channel. But that's the Philodendron pedatum. Oh my goodness, guys, I just realized that my camera wasn't recording when I chopped my Tetrasperma, but this is what it looks like now. It stops right about here. Let me see if I can get you guys a little bit taller. That's what the Tetrasperma looks like now. So you can see that it looks a lot better after chopping it, and it looks a lot bushier than it did before because it was so straggly at the top. So when you cut off the stragglers, it does make your plant look a lot better. And when you let your plant climb, you do get secondary leaves, secondary holes in the leaves, if you can see that. But I do need to treat this plant for a little bit of pest maintenance. But I'm just going to take the cuttings and basically fill it in the bottom here, because you can see that this side isn't as beautiful as the other side. So that's where I'm going to place those cuttings that I took. I'm going to place them on this side, so that way this side can grow in fuller. But that's, you know, the vision that I see with this plant. And then let me show you the cuttings that I took off of it. Alright, so you can see that these are all the cuttings that I took off the plant. So these are going to be put it back in the bottom here just to fill it out. And then once it develops the stem on this side, it's going to look much fuller like the other side. And this was the top cutting of the plant. So you can see that the plant wasn't receiving as much light. You can see by the size of the leaf, and there's no secondary holes or anything. So I think giving this plant a trim will really help it. And these are more stems that, what I was saying when I didn't get it recorded, I actually propagated this plant 2 or 3 times before, and it developed more stems. So as you can see, this stem here is the main stem. There's one main stem in here, and then when I propagated it, it actually put off offshoots. So now this plant actually has 6 or so stems in this pot. So I actually went from 1 stem on the main stem to about 6 stems, and there's some offshoots growing in the bottom that I will have to go ahead and Velcro up. If you can see, this one here is an offshoot, so I have to Velcro that one up eventually. But I'm just going to place those cuttings in this section and in this section, so that way when they develop their stems, it'll develop on this side and it'll fill out the plant. But that's what I wanted to show you with my Tetrasperma, and I do apologize that it wasn't recording, but I did the same thing what I did with the other plants. I just cut them between the node. So that's what that one looks like. So it actually doesn't look too bad. And this leaf here is damaged from putting it outside. But yeah, that's my Tetrasperma. I think I'm just going to do one more plant, and that will probably be my Monstera, and we'll just call it for this video because these are a lot of plants to propagate. So we'll get back to you with the Monstera. Alright guys, this is the last plant that I'm going to propagate on camera. And this is the Mac Daddy of all Mac Daddies. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm so scared to cut this one. I've had this plant the longest and I'm just kind of terrified. But he does need a chop. As you can see, he's taller than I am. I'm 5'4" for reference. So this plant is probably about 6 foot. And he needs to be chopped because he's taking up all the light. And I'm so scared. Let's get started. I think I just want to chop him, see about here. You can see where, let me see. I think I'll cut him about here. You can see that. Ooh, guys, I'm scared. All right, let's see. I think I just want to, and I'm probably going to have to borrow a bucket from my mom to propagate him in. But let's see. Where do I want to cut him? I don't even know if my scissors are thick enough for these stems. Woo! My first cutting. Are you guys scared to propagate any of your plants? Usually I have no problems cutting my plants. Well, that's a lie. I hate cutting my plants, but look at that beautiful Monstera leaf. All right, and this plant needs to be treated as well, but that's what that one looks like. Just gonna put it to the side. Try not to step on it. And let's make a cutting. It's kind of hard to see in here. We'll cut down here. There's another cutting. And as you can see, this one was more mature, as you can see with the secondary fenestrations and holes. Oh, he's looking a lot. Ah, I'm taller. I'm taller than my plant. Let's see. I think I might take this one off here. Yeah, that's what that one looks like. Guys, have been talking about cutting this plant for a whole, like 3 plant tours, and I'm finally doing it. I think I first mentioned it in my spring tour that I was gonna cut this plant. And as you can see, it's like really leaning this way, and I need it to go back that way. But if we turn it around, that's what that plant looks like. Let me get it to come down lower. All right. So if you can see that, I need it to come back this way because that's how it's supposed to sit. That's how like top heavy and that's how top heavy it is. But I really need to go out. I think I need to get like a stake or two and really like stake it in there because I think that would, help it a lot. But this is where I need to put the cuttings. You can see that it's really bare here. And even here it's bare. So that's where I'm planning to put those cuttings to make it really fill out. And again, I'm just gonna pluck off any yellowing leaves just to clean it up. But yeah, that's what that one looks like. So I think I'm gonna stop it there. I think that's a good height for this plant. Like I said, I just need to go ahead and treat it, and then I'm gonna have to figure out some kind of stake option. This is where I wanna fill the plant in. See all this dead space, negative space? This all is where I would like to place these cuttings. So let me try to see if I can get you a visual of what I'm talking about. If I place the cuttings in here, you see how much fuller that's gonna look? It's not gonna look like that, but it will look more full like that. So that's what I'm going for with the plant. But I think that will look a lot better. So I'm probably gonna have to borrow a bucket, like I said, from my mom, and that's about it. All right, so I hope this was helpful and that you guys enjoyed this. It's really hard to try to propagate plants on camera, especially when they're so big and out of, frame. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will definitely give you updates on these plants, and I will probably just do like a winter houseplant tour just so you can see what the area looks like now. And I will update if I cut any more plants. I'll do that in the houseplant tour as well. Or I can also, I'll probably do some updates and stuff on my Instagram. So if you guys want to head over to my Instagram, it's @rootingmindfully. And I'll show my other plants that I choose to propagate there. Because it would probably be easier just to show it on Instagram. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to update you guys on my next houseplant tour. Like I said, let me know if you guys want to see a Q&A with me and my mom. And I just want to thank you guys for watching my videos, and I hope this was helpful. Please subscribe and like my videos. Leave a comment. That would be awesome. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye.